Over the years, I collected my own library of software for creating digital content, from illustrations to videos. Some of these programs are free, while some are cheap compared to what you would shell out for a subscription-based creative suite. In this list, I'd like to quickly review the programs I personally use. I won't go over all their features, but I'll share the work I've done with them instead. By the way, these recommendations are not sponsored and I'm not affiliated with the developers. First up is Affinity Designer. It's a paid program at $50, but sometimes it goes on sale for half off. I use Designer for combining vector art with raster textures. Videos of this process are available in my channel, which I'll link in the cards. With the Artboards feature, I laid these boards out for an animated picture book. This project also took advantage of the Assets panel, so I can drag and drop characters and props to make a scene. For graphic design, I planned these graphics for the portfolio website that my husband and I share. There are artboards for the style guide, assets, and the various layouts for the web pages. Then I exported these through Designer's third persona, aptly named Export Persona. Even though the slices overlap each other, the PNG setting can still export them with a transparent background. So Affinity Designer's a versatile program. The pixel persona isn't as strong as other painting programs, and it may not have all of Adobe Illustrator's features, but it's still possible to get both design and vector illustration work done here. Affinity Publisher is a desktop publishing program, which is a category of design software for laying out multi-page content. Like Designer, it's $50 and also goes on sale for half off. The main reason I bought this was for some social media client work. This content calendar for my vet client is a good example. Every month, I make a new file using a template that's already set up. It contains these master pages like background colors and this watermark. These are assets where all edits will be shared across any page they're applied to. Master pages can also tell the page number, which dynamically adapts if I move the pages around. So if you also do sequential layout work like comics or zines, Publisher is something to add to your toolbox. Krita is a free and open source painting program. I've been using this since 2015. Compared to other alternatives at the time, Krita has the closest brush feeling to Photoshop, so it was an easy transition, at least for me. I just needed a program that can paint well, and Krita does that. And I can draw from styles that rely on line art to styles that have this dry brush effect. Unfortunately, this program does start to lag when the file gets heavy. The brushstrokes don't slow down on me, but delays happen in color picking and refresh rates. And yet, I still appreciate that this is a free program. Clip Studio Paint is currently the most popular art program for freelance and hobby illustrators. I'm a new user to it, having only bought the EX version last year with the Black Friday deal for $120. As a newbie, I haven't explored the 3D and comic features, but I have adapted to the illustration features. I particularly like drawing with vector line art. It turns my brushstrokes into vector paths that I can manipulate for corrections, and any excess line segments can be instantly erased. This is my homework for a background design class. My instructor shared some Photoshop brushes which Clip Studio can import. It's not a one-to-one import, but at least I can use the brushes I want. The filter menu isn't as comprehensive. It's not a big deal if I'm using real textures as a base. I still achieve the posterized effect for the bricks. And even though I have Clip Studio, I still go back to Krita sometimes. Clip Studio has multiple brush tools: the pencil, the pen, the brush, the blender, the effects, and each of them has their own submenus. Meanwhile, Krita has one brush tool with all the brush presets, even the smudge and dodge. So if I need a simpler workflow, I switch to Krita. Hexels is a grid-based vector program. It was originally for painting with triangles and pixels, but has expanded with animation features. This program costs $50 on their website, but for some reason, it's $35 on Steam. The Trixel grid acts like an isometric grid, and I can switch between other grid types for flexibility. It lets me make vector art that looks like low-poly objects. And with the animation features, I can add idle loops to make the illustrations dynamic. I can also export the layers into an SVG file for texturing in other programs. I believe this version can let me texture natively, but I haven't tried it out. It may be a gimmicky program, but the constraints of painting purely on a grid is a fun exercise for out-of-the-box thinking. PureRef is a free and minimal program for setting up mood boards. Making mood boards for every project helps me keep track of my target quality. With PureRef, I don't have to manage any layer panel, and I can move images into an arrangement that makes sense to me. Whenever it's time to reap inspiration from my Pinterest saves, I gather them up into PureRef. Blender is a free and open source 3D and animation program. It can cover various steps in 3D production, from modeling to animation. My skill level, however, is limited to modeling rough background layouts, which I will then trace over in Krita or Clip Studio. That way, I can get the perspective right and find new angles in the environments I build. I would definitely want to improve with this program to make stylish 3D renders. Moho Pro is a 2D rigging and animation program. It's the most expensive on this list at $400. Upgrading to a new version would require paying less at $160. That might not sound cheap, but I'd still consider this program within a reasonable reach. It does go on sale for 40% off during Black Friday. Inside Moho itself, 2D models can be drawn with the pen tool like this raccoon. This is made of vectors with a textured outline. Layered PSD files can also be imported and rigged. I set up a mesh on each part that will act as control points. Bones can be assigned to these so I can stretch and fold the art assets. I would look for anything to animate in my illustrations these days. Like in my environment art, they make for nice cinematographic loops. DaVinci Resolve is a kitchen sink video editing program that does VFX, motion graphics, color grading, and of course editing. It's free for individuals, and the features behind the paid studio version are negligible. I don't know how to use 80% of the features, but I can edit YouTube videos with it. For each project, I have multiple timelines to account for Instagram versions of a video. The brush transitions I use for my logo reveals are applied in the Fusion workspace. It's the VFX wing of DaVinci where effects are assigned via these nodes. It took me some getting used to, but I can imagine this is a convenient method for more advanced effects. The annoying thing is, sometimes these effects don't appear in my renders. It might be a bug, but that causes me to fix it by reapplying the assets into the media in nodes. Audacity is a free and open source audio editing program. Despite this long list of audio effects, I only do voiceovers in here. Then I usually apply noise reduction and a few other effects to balance out audio levels. I know my early videos had bad voiceover quality, but that's something I'm trying to improve on, okay? And lastly, OBS Studio, which stands for Open Broadcaster Software. It's free and open source. This is where I record my screen captures for my digital art videos. I can switch between scenes, for instance between my primary monitor and my pen display. While for my gaming streams, OBS can read from other sources like my VTuber avatar. Oh, did you know I'm a VTuber? Link to my Twitch channel below. And I'll obviously link to the programs I mentioned in the description as well. Let me know in the comments if you found this list helpful. Which of these programs will you consider using next? Like this video and subscribe to my channel for more art videos, both digital and traditional. Thank you for watching and bye!